Hey guys, I recorded this little bit because I'm going to a presentation tonight at CSU in Boulder and I will not be in class. So I'm going to talk about Chapter 3, Coping with Fears and Threats, and some of the defense mechanisms outlined in the chapter. A lot of this is kind of going over what we talked about with Freud and some of the basic tenets that he came up with. How we cope with our threats and fears in our lives is perhaps one of the largest parts of our personal identity. In the reading, it's outlined specific mechanisms that have been shown in studies that are used by people to deal with the anxiety and guilt that are associated with unpleasant experiences. I'm sure all of us are aware of some guilt or anxiety associated with something that we've learned while here at CMC. I know I do, and I'm sure you guys can identify some in your own lives. So either you run away or you deal with it, and some of the ways outlined, and you'll see in the slide, they're all kind of bulleted. Diversion, some ways that people will divert their fears or anxieties is by limiting their exposure to the information. Another one is to keep your thoughts in the present and kind of ignore the future ramifications of any type of behavior. Doing something to try and make yourself feel good and make yourself feel proactive against the negative stuff that's going on. And then one that I'm sure everyone is familiar with is seeking pleasure, doing something fun to forget about what may loom around the corner. Reinterpreting the threat is another form of coping with our fears and threats, or diverting those anxieties. Some types of reinterpreting the threat include relativism, saying that it's not as bad as it actually is relative to other times or other situations. Denying guilt, denying that you have anything to do with the causes of the problem, or projecting onto others. So, saying that others are more, responsible for the issues at hand and that your behavior is less responsible. Indifference is one of the last forms of diversion or coping with your anxieties. And the two types of indifference are complete apathy, not caring at all, or just resignation to the fact that there's nothing you can do to change the situation. And then finally, they talk about reverting to materialistic goods and things that you and your in-group find importance or high value in. That's something that people in society do all the time. You go back to things that make you happy, go shopping. George Bush was famous for telling the country to go shopping when we were in a pretty bad slump. These are all pretty familiar to all of us, I'm sure, and it outlines in the book that none of them really help our environmental situation at all, and they're all common coping mechanisms, but when it comes to denying the environmental issues through these coping mechanisms, none of them are positive to our situation. And so we need to come up with some other ways to identify these when they're occurring and help not perpetuate them in the future. I'm going to turn the presentation over now to my peers here. They're going to talk to you more about some of those methods and strategies for addressing environmental issues through reimagination of our human identity. The discussion of iatrogenic effects is, I think, uniquely important to our sustainability studies, so listen up and enjoy.
Thanks for watching.